By the way, just so you know.
Fair enough. Not my fault. All right. Okay. Cool. There you go. I'd love to see. I'd love to see it more escort carriers enter the game. Let's just be quick about that. All right. Build. Here we go. As you can see, we've got the Bearcats with Tiny Tims. You've got the BTD destroyers, and of course the Sky Pirates. The big thing here is the torpedo bombers and the Essex are really quite good. They've got really good damage. And your rockets and dive bombers are both tactical squadrons. What that means is you have to think about this play a little bit differently than your standard carrier because of the fact there's only one squadron that is slowly regenerating. The other ones just boop, automatically appear on your deck, no matter how many planes you lose. So that makes it very noob friendly as well. Hoojam, thank you. All right, so
it's like magic.
Magic. It's auto magic, yes. So we have Air Groups Mod 1, Aircraft System Engines Mod 1, Attack Aircraft Modification 1, Torpedo Bomber HP, and Squadron Consumables. Okay. This is really helpful on a support carrier because you get extra charges of your planes, extra charges of your smokies, and then you've got flight control for extra squadron speed. I don't know that there's anything I would do differently. You don't care about...
The only thing you could maybe consider is running the smoke mod in the third slot.
Yep. That was the only thing I was fixing to mention is if you do enjoy the smoke a lot, especially if you division with friends a lot in this ship, Smoke Generator Mod 1 is very handy. Smoke is fun. Why not have more of it? So I could definitely agree with Grunty on that. Although if I recall, I ran that in my Yorktown, and I had a few instances where I would launch my rocket planes and my smoke wasn't ready because of the last time I used it.
It's the action time, yeah. Your planes will emit the smoke for longer, which means you cover a longer area.
Right.
A larger area with it.
Right. Yep. So in a sense, it doesn't impact the duration, but it impacts when the consumable goes on cooldown again. So if you've got 20% more action time, that's 20% longer before your consumable goes on cooldown again. It's the same thing as what happens with hydroacoustic search. If you take that module and you use your hydro, there could be times when you need hydro, but you have to wait 10 more seconds because your hydro lasts longer, therefore it doesn't go down on cooldown as early as it used to.
Doesn't matter for the CV. I'm pretty sure the cooldown is shorter than the plane cooldown.
Well, let's take a... Can we see that? Aircraft...
I can probably look at it in-game on my Essex.
Here, smoke generator, cooldown, action time. So cooldown is 90 seconds, action time is 10.5. Yeah, so it shouldn't be... what's the regeneration
the plane
time?
regeneration time is longer than 90 seconds.
Restoration time is about 120 seconds. Okay. So... I don't remember what it was then that caused me to... Like, I literally launched my plane and my smoke wasn't available, and I'm like, what? I don't know, maybe that's something with the Yorktown. But anyway, let's get back...
The Yorktown has the shorter cooldown, shorter restoration times.
Yeah, so that's what did it to me then. Okay, anyways, let's get to... well, thank you, Huggadeath. You were awesome, too. So that's fine for your modules. Let's move on to Captain Skills. Cosmic, is this a special captain or not? I don't know if I want that too many times where I smoke someone and it almost smokes the enemy because some destroyer just happens to be close by. Like I said, it's useful if you are division with people because then you can ensure that the extra 20% of action time for that smoke goes towards really helping somebody get in a position, for example, like cross an island chain or something. I'm thinking Land of Fire, getting to special islands for a Des Moines friend or something like that. So, Cosmic, special captain or not? We're going to assume not. Let's take a look at the build. Air Supremacy, improved engines, site stabilization, and Hidden Menace. And then we've got Patrol Group Leader for 1 extra patrol fighter. And then we have the big one, Enhanced Reactions. And then we have Search and Destroy for Patrol Radius. And then we finish with Bomber Flight Control. It's actually Halsey. Okay, now, Halsey won't do anything unless you get a Confederate achievement. All right, there's a lot to unpack from this captain build. Grunty, how about you start us off?
I don't like any of the 3 or 4 point skills here.
I had a feeling you were gonna say that.
Let's start with the obvious thing.
Please.
Enhanced reactions is actively bad.
That's this one down here.
These-
Now, we talked
These
about this on
fighters
the last
have
one.
they have like a 5-6 seconds time to arrive, and they have like a 2.5 second time to engage base. If you just do the math with enhanced reactions, and you have a total of like 7.5 to 8 seconds until the fighters latch. If you do the math with this skill, your 6 seconds arrival time goes up to 9 seconds, and then your latch time goes down to 0.5 seconds, which means you have 9.5 seconds before they actually latch onto a plane.
Right.
So that is longer. If you take this skill, you're actively making your fighters worth on the Essex line.
I would say this is good thinking for a fighter build with a standard carrier, but in the case of this line, enhanced reactions is not a good idea. So I would say don't run enhanced reactions.
Then let's get to the bomber flight control.
Yep. Cosmic, that's why you send in your replay, and that's why we look at commander builds as an integral part of replay analysis now. All right, let's talk about bomber flight control. What?
So buffing the bomber speed, there's obviously no downside to it. However, the best planes the Essex actually has are the torpedoes.
Yes.
So if you want to take proximity views to buff your torpedoes as your best planes, and not the bomber speed. Like, you could take the bomber speed if you don't want to go into any fighter build whatsoever and you have leftover points in the end. You want to make them faster, so be it.
Yep.
But you should absolutely focus on your torpedoes for the damage first.
Right. Now, this is 10% anti-torpedo protection negation. So if you're up against something that has, say, a 20% torpedo protection, then that's 10% less torpedo protection. That means that 10% more damage gets through when it does hit a ship. So now you can see where is it here? Torpedo protection, 34%, right? So if a torpedo hits the torpedo bulge of the Essex, the damage that it does is reduced by 34%. If you're hit by somebody that's got proximity's fuse, the damage is reduced by 24% instead. So your torpedoes do more damage, right? That's the reason why proximity fuse is really handy. Now, this won't help if you're hitting a target bow or stern where there is no torpedo protection. Keep that in mind.
It's true, but because you drop the 4 torpedoes in the spread they drop, you're pretty much guaranteed to hit the belt with at least 1 torpedo. Even if you hit the perfect broadside and hit with all 4, there's gonna be torpedoes that gonna hit the belt.
Exactly. So it's helpful. I just want to make sure you understand both sides of it. But I completely agree with Grunty. This is your bread and butter for damage in this ship, so you absolutely want to be prioritizing proximity fuse. If there's room in your build later, by all means, go ahead and take bomber flight control. Hello, Lady Fufu. Now, let's get
to the hidden menace.
Yes. Let's
This
get to
skill
that.
has a massive downside.
Which is?
That air squadron return speed minus 50% means that the planes go to the safe altitude takes longer to get there. Now,
They're gonna take
Wargaming
more
tried
flak
to
and it's
balance
air.
this off by them taking less time to get there, or the time to reach that, making basically the safe altitude lower. But that still doesn't 100% compensate for it, especially if you attack into multiple ships where there is flak nearby that can shoot your planes while they go back in the same distance. Your planes are so slow they will not dodge the flak, and as a result, you will lose more planes on the way back if you have this skill than without it.
Now, with tactical bombers and tactical rockets, this becomes less of a problem. It's only a problem for your torpedo bombers, right?
Right. It doesn't matter for the tacticals because they regenerate fully anyway.
Yeah.
But your best planes, as we established before, are your torpedo bombers, and those are affected.
Right.
And you really can't afford to lose torpedo bombers like this.
Right, because then you become
So
fully dependent only on your tacticals to do
this
things.
skill is basically a complete trap, and outside of a brawl scenario, and probably even then only like on German CVs, it should basically never be taken.
Right.
It's a complete trap skill.
Now, I do like the idea of saying, hey, if my torpedo bombers go away, whatever, I still have the tactical. So you need to balance it behind that concept. But you are nerfing, especially in a long battle, long duration battle, you're hurting your damage potential, your potential to do damage to the enemy because you're losing so many torpedo bombers in the process. So we'll keep an eye on that in this replay and take a look and try to highlight, remind me guys at the end, how many torpedo bombers you lose on in this process.
And it's especially bad because you didn't take any of the 3-point skills that actually buff your plane survivability.
Which, again, if you're playing with tacticals, you don't necessarily care about them because you're going to drop and then done, right?
I mean, you still care about them because it increases your chance that you lose the plane before it actually drops.
Aha! So you lose these three here. These three skills you take so that you can get in and drop your ordnance. Even on tacticals, it comes in handy because that might be 1 or 2 more rockets or bombs that reach their target because you have these skills. In Menace is more so.
Chat. Yeah. But you have tacticals. You can use your smoke to get close and conceal yourself. You don't need the actual better concealment from the skill.
Correct. Hi, Diz. Yes, exactly. So you can use the smoke to get yourself in, or if you get yourself detected and stuff like that. I agree with Grunty. I would not be running Hidden Menace. I think you're far better dropping Hidden Menace and picking up more of the survivability skills. Now, before we talk about picking up these, site stabilization. You said you didn't like it, Grunty.
Okay. It's a skill you take like as your 21st point if you have nothing else to take.
Yeah, it's
the
towards the
effect
end.
is very, very misleading.
Yep.
So if you look at it.
Of these 3 planes here, these 3 skills to enhance the health of your plane, which do you prioritize first?
On an Essex, I would probably take the armor first.
Aircraft armor?
Yeah, because like you have to basically look if like 250 hit points, which you would get from the survivability expert, is more than 10%. And
Okay.
on the roughly speaking.
Okay. Here, HP.
And I'm mostly looking at the bombers here. The bombers do have quite a lot of hit points, and the torpedo bombers have the heal. So I'd probably go with it first. But in reality, it doesn't really matter because one of the skills you take is your 6th point. The other skill you take is your 9th point. And you should have at least a 9-point captain or a tier 10 CV anyway. So it's not really a question which you take first. You basically have all of them.
Okay. So after aircraft armor, then you would take survivability expert, then you would take enhanced aircraft armor. Is that what you're saying?
I would not take enhanced aircraft armor at all.
Okay. Because that only helps if you take flak. And frankly, if you take flak, chances are you're going to take more than one puff, in which case you're losing a lot of planes anyways.
My order in general would be the air supremacy at tier 1. Then you take the improved engines at tier 2.
Yep.
And then you take survivability expert and the aircraft armor at tier 3. And that's 9 points.
Yep. And
then you go to proximity at 13. And then you go from there.
So where would we go from here? Cosmic, of course, has a 21-point captain. He even said, I'm going to fix to reset. So you could do the fighter stuff. So search and destroy.
I would go torpedo bomber first. I would improve the torpedo arming distance at tier 2, very left.
Okay.
For 15.
Yep.
That would be my core for the Essex.
Okay.
And then you decide, do I want fighter skills or do I want to maybe improve my bombers or the site stabilization or whatever?
That makes sense. Okay.
If you decide to go, you want fighters. You have to think whether you want interceptors or not. Now, specifically to the Essex line, the fighters only have a 2 kilometer spotting range anyway.
Right.
So the downside of interceptors that they don't spot anymore is not a big deal on these.
Yeah, because it's only 2 kilometers.
The big deal here is if you take it, you can't kill enemy fighters with them, which some people like to do, some people don't care.
Right.
The upside if you take it, like your fighters can't be shut down by enemy fighters.
Or
like
lured away by ASW.
Yeah, or lured away by ASW planes. Like a lot of people, what they like to do, oh god, a fighter squadron is placed on my planes. I use my own fighters and hope the fighters engage these others so my planes are safe.
Right.
That's not gonna work if you have interceptors.
Right. This is basically you're using this to target the enemy planes. That's it. The like the actual squadrons that they are running.
Right, and you get the petrol radius, which is nice.
So what you're doing is if you think about it, the support carriers already have a little bit better patrol radius. You add that, that's another 10%, and then up here you do search and destroy. If you're going to go for interceptors, then you're going to want to go search and destroy. Why wouldn't you get an extra 10% on top of the other radius?
I would take search and destroy no matter what. Later on, but the big point is, do you want interceptors?
Well,
Right.
I mean, I dare say interceptors is another trap skill. Because, let's face facts, anybody playing a carrier, the only time you're going to get caught by those interceptors is the first time he drops them. After that, you're just going to ignore wherever he's putting his fighters. Right?
It still helps your fighters not getting detached by anything like ASW.
Right, but they're not spotting anyways. Right, so what's the point? Right, your fighters can't spot. The enemy carrier is going to avoid that area, which means he's going to go harass somebody else, or he's just going to wait for the fighters to go away.
The way I look at interceptors is you are creating a circle of nope. So between this and the patrol radius here, when you put it down, you have to be putting it down over somebody that you know is going to take advantage of that anti-air. And you're going to make that circle of nope in front of them, to the side of them, whatever. And that's designed to slow down, hamper, as chat mentioned, the ability of the enemy to drop on said person. That's why you take interceptors.
It's like a good denial. Like you see, like if there's fighters in the way and I want to go there, I can drop my own fighters, they engage each other, and I can go there where I want. You can't get rid of the interceptors that way. It's not a trap skill.
Well, I mean, now you're counting on your teammates to actually not be licking windows and utilize that.
Which is why I was going to mention
it's not
next.
just for the teammates. Like you can just make the enemy's CV take a longer path and deny its movement, even if he's not going in there. You're denying his freedom of movement, and you can do it better with the interceptors.
So,
you don't have to take it. Like it's optional. But if there is a line where it makes sense, it's this.
It comes down to, and I always say this, it comes down to how the player plays the ship. If they are really good at using carriers, and they're really good at trying to zone out other people, and that sort of thing, then Interceptor makes sense for them. If they're only focused on doing damage and not worrying about anything else, Interceptor is a complete waste of skill points. Put it that way.
Right. If you don't want it, you can take your side stabilization, although I don't think it does too much. Like, you can you actually go on to, like, take off the interceptors for now and scroll down to one of the plane types where it tells you like, you see here the attack timings, preparation time to fully aimed, and so on. Like, compare these numbers with side stabilization and with outside stabilization.
So, for example, with this squadron, these are the tactical bombers, 0.7 seconds to fully aim.
You can do this look for like every single squadron you have. On some it's more effective, on some it's not as effective.
0.7 seconds on the torpedo bombers.
By the way, 4 seconds to be fully aimed on torpedoes is actually really, really good already, especially if you compare it with a midway.
And for the rockets, it's also looks like 0.7 seconds.
Doesn't make sense, but okay. Like,
So,
I don't know.
anyways,
I don't think it's necessary. If someone thinks he needs it, it's fine. My suggestion with this is go on the PTS and try it in a training room just for the aiming alone, with and without the skill, and see if you actually notice a difference.
now I will say this though, looking at the 16 points right now, okay, we dropped interceptor. If we pick up bomber flight control, which is what Cosmic had originally, okay, now we've helped our dive bombers, which frankly is our second source of damage. So this is okay. And then you have a 1-pointer. Alternately, something else. Yes.
I would take like the improved engine boost if you go this route as your last 1-point skill.
Right.
But yeah, you can do that. If you want to not take interceptors, perfectly fine to take the bomber flight control here.
Yep. Now, another possibility too is pyrotechnician, because your rockets fire HE rockets and your bombs obviously have HE bombs. They start fires. So having an extra chance to start fires is okay. If you'd rather do this is if you're using your rockets more frequently, frankly. And then that frees up room for, I don't know, maybe repair specialists so that you can keep your torpedo bombers live longer.
I have repair specialists and interceptors on mine.
Yeah. So this is fine.
The 2-point skill he had was like the one for the extra fighter consumable.
Yeah, this one. Patrol group leader.
I don't think it's necessary since you have the consumable mod already on the ship.
Yeah.
I don't think you get too much value out of the extra fighter in the end.
Mm-hmm.
But
okay,
it's not a bad skill, but I don't think you need the extra fighter.
Or the build was before the spotting change. Hey, no need to worry about it, Cosmic. I mean,
what do you mean before the spotting change? These ships always had that spotting that way.
I'm just reading what he said in chat.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's what he said, but yeah, I don't think a lot of players knew that the support carrier fighters don't spot like the normal carriers. They never did, and I think people think that because they said in patch like in their devlog they were introducing this stuff. Just like the submarines, everybody thought all the submarine stuff was dumped on day one. It's like, no, the only thing they dumped was faster ASW in, better turning for subs. It wasn't until the second patch after it to where you could rush ADD and it now, or a sub, and it mattered distance for damage from its torpedoes.
The difficult
a lot of
thing.
Players don't know that, and I think Wargaming should definitely say the fighter spotting thing in game when you look at the fighters.
It's very difficult to keep track. It's very difficult to keep track.
Wargaming to teach people how to play this game?
It's very difficult to keep track of changes in this game. Extremely difficult, especially because Wargaming puts out the dev blogs for ships going into super test as they originally announced. Then they will make changes and they'll put that in another dev blog, and they might make further changes again before it goes out into early access. And then it comes out to live, and as he said, that information is not available in the port. The only way to find it is going onto secondary sites or third-party sites that list this information. So unless you're one of those like hardcore, super engaged players that tracks everything, like a certain group of people that are in my Discord right now, you don't know this stuff. Let's move on. Flags. You've got one flag. Smoke time. Okay. So you were just talking earlier about too much smoke, and then you took a flag that gives you more smoke. Just putting that out there. There's some flags that you're missing, though, I'd say. And I'm guessing you're trying to conserve flags. Remember, you're a carrier. You don't need to worry about detonating. But I would absolutely say run anti-air, especially because, as Grunty likes to point out, Essex can easily be sniped, right?
Yes, theoretically. But what I mean by easily be sniped is Essex has low hit points, mediocre concealment kinda, and no armor. That's what I mean with easily be sniped. You have the smoke to prevent that from being spotted in the first place, but if you're spotted, you're easily sniped. So
anti-air is a good idea.
So what you're saying is the Exus doesn't have an armored deck?
I thought it did, but no? Okay. Moving on. Fire extinguishing time, it can help you save some hit points. I would take it, frankly, if I had the flags. Okay, flooding, obviously, again, if I had the flags, helps you deal with, try to survive subs, basically.
The Essex deck is 30 millimeter throughout.
Okay. Compared to what on the midway?
So the midway deck, if I remember correctly, is layered. No, the midway is complete. It's 87 millimeter.
Okay, so that's a bit of a difference. Anyway, India Delta is good to keep your torpedo bombers alive. Again, like we've been highlighting, the torpedo bombers are the most important in this. So I think that's worth mentioning. The speed flag, if you relocate a lot in the game, the shift speed, why wouldn't you take it? The consumables one here would absolutely come in handy. So I would definitely take the consumables. And then I'd finish up with ramming flag.
Armored, I'm pretty sure 406s will go through the deck. You don't need 457s.
If they're plunging, 406s can penetrate. They can't overmatch, but they can penetrate.
But I mean, if they're not plunging, that means you're spotting it, which means you don't have problems going through its side either.
Which means you shouldn't be aiming for the deck on that ship. You should be aiming lower for the hangar space, etc., etc. Yeah.
Right.
By the way, the fighter thing was mentioned in one of the initial dev blocks. Dev block 476. It says, additionally, these ships can call patrol fighters that arrive much faster compared to most carriers. However, its spotting range is relatively low, similar to Barnes fighter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I agree with both of you guys that information like that should be a little bit more readily, easily available.
Agreed.
But
absolutely.
Ekans has also stated, because they have the data, the amount of people that actually read the devlog and all the stuff is it's so minimum. And he goes, you know, they try to get this information out that literally nobody cares about and nobody wants to go read. Because remember, news never used to be in the port. Right? That got put in. Like, it's almost like the only way to get these people to read something is put a gun to their head and then they're just going to read it, not retain it anyways.
I think the bigger thing is what Wargaming has done in the tech tree is they put a little bit of, you know, a thing there, like a cliff notes about the ship and that sort of thing. They should do the same thing especially when you're playing a ship that just came out of early access. Do it for like the month or something like that. You know, put something out there so that people see it. And maybe it's a pop-up that then you have to hit OK to close or something. I don't know. Just have something out there.
I mean, I agree. Like, there needs to be something in, like, you know, if people decide to just click OK, like, you know, terms of service, let me just scroll to the end and hit accept, you know, that's on the person. It's not on them. They're trying to give the player information, but I don't know how much resources it actually takes up for them to actually code that into the game, too.
It actually says that, like, you mentioned this exclamation mark on the line spread, right?
Right.
If you go there, go to detailed information.
If you go there.
Other.
If you go there.
Okay.
That's the point I'm trying to make, is if you go there. And that's the problem. It needs to come up. Hey, you are playing a newly released ship. And frankly, what I'd love to see Wargaming do, and maybe somebody can clip this so I can give it to them as feedback or a suggestion. What I'd love to see Wargaming do is for the first X number of battles, 5, 10, have something pop up there with the ability to check a box and say, don't remind me again. Hey, you're playing a new ship. Don't forget, here's the characteristics of the line, or something along that line, right? Just as it Cliff's Notes, you know, it's got this, it's got that, and they've already done that, as you mentioned, in the tech tree. Just put that out there in front of the player so that when they ready up a ship in it, they are reminded of the strengths and the weaknesses of that line of ships. Why not just do that? Anyway, we're getting off topic again and getting delayed again in our replay.
So think this flooding flag here.
Well, I mean, I think this is actually important because even Cosmic said he didn't know that the sweaters couldn't spot.
It's important. I just don't want to turn this into a Zath chat on information and stuff like that.
All right, so this is the second Zat chat for Cosmic's replay.
That spoon feeding, let them do their research on Twitch and YouTube. Sure, Cthulhu, but how many players are going to do that? And then you can, and then there's not you, but there's other people who shall not be named who complain about players in the game that don't know anything about the ships they're playing. What can we just try to get information in front of them? I don't see it as spoon feeding. I see it as putting stuff out there so they understand how the ship works. That's it.
I have no problem with them spoon feeding people information. Either they're going to get spoon fed it and accept it, or just ignore it and move on with their lives.
Right. Right. No experience needed. I mean, who was it? Who was it? Gary? Was it Gary that said, "Hey, I'm playing this new"? No, it was Sanctus. I'm playing the new tier 9 in the Commonwealth thing, and I can't handle it. Why? Because he didn't understand the smoke fire penalty was so high because they're heavy cruiser guns, because Wargaming didn't tell them that. Technically, it's in the little spot there that they could find if they look for it. But if you're in the heat of battle, you're going to sit there and say, should I shoot my gun? Let me double check my smoke fire penalty. Where is it in this whole list of numbers? Oh my God. And then 30 seconds later, you find out that you can or can't do it. That's the problem.
You laugh when I actually do that.
Yes, right. But I'm saying that for other players, that's too much work. Now we're doing a Zach chat again. Okay, let's get back into this. So, flooding chance is important. Absolutely, flooding chance is important. I would agree with you there. And look, there's no room for the smoke flag. Is the smoke flag really necessary? No. I would say if you really care about the smoke flag, go up here and buy the smoke module and be done with it.
I never take the damage reduction or the fire and flooding reduction flags on CVs.
Okay, fine. So you can drop those if you want, and then there's your room. Or you can take the fire chance ones to increase your fire chance on your bombers and stuff like that. It is always your replays because you send in really good replays. And thank you again for subbing and supporting the channel. Okay, can we get to the replay now?
No.
Damn it.
For the fifth time.
All right, here we go.
On a happy note, Stream Elements is working.
Yes, it is. We checked that at the start.
Oh.
Just rename the stream replays between chats and you should be fine. Replays between Thanks, Dutch. You're so kind. All right, let's screenshot you in a very naked Essex. Okay.
You know, I really wish they would just actually have these ships put out as pristine, not with all this rust.
It would be nice. It would be nice.
All right, I'm not going to argue about that. His first mistake was he hit battle button.
So, as always, I like to take a screenshot of the carrier doing the carrier thing, launching planes. So here you go, launching your plane. Let's get to the damn replay. You have chosen rockets to start with. Ammo does nothing, so you honestly don't have any. You just sell them. Ah, that hurts. Poor tier 8, that poor Nebraska. Oh, God. And the poor Champagne. Champagne on your team. You got a couple tier 9s, Soyuz Kitakaze. Kitakaze's a problem. Alright, what are you doing? You've seen the Malta's bombers. You're trying to get ahead of them to use your interceptors. You have chosen death, says Sergeant Sully. That's true. And there goes your fighter. Now, because he didn't take interceptors, he will clear away that. But besides that, you haven't really done anything for your team. You haven't spotted anything. Oh no, they latched on the AP bombers. Oh. Wow, that works. And then his planes latched on your planes.
Yeah, you got kind of lucky there, like with the ledge, how it worked.
Yeah.
His planes could have easily launched your fighters first, and then you shot down nothing, and he gets all the plane kills. And with interceptors, you prevent that. Also, if you didn't have the enhanced reactions, I think you'd kill even more planes because, like, you delayed yourself here.
Right, which we talked about in the setup portion of the stream. All right, you found the Kitakaze, so you might as well drop on him. Nice hit.
Wow,
you meant to go
bomb
spot.
hits.
Yeah, you meant to go spot and then accidentally switch, but that was very that was a very good mistake because then you found the Kita.
Yeah, it was good.
Torp bombers pre-dropping. Okay, cool. Get those planes back to your carrier for the next time they're needed. And look, you found the Malta again.
I would be very, very happy with getting 4 bomb hits on a drop on a destroyer.
Absolutely. Now you're hoping for your enhanced reactions to get there in time. They did latch, but look at how long it took for them to latch. By that point, the carrier's already dropping on the Yamato and probably recalling. Yep. So you didn't get any plane kills out of that. Poor Kitakaze. Now you forced him to beach, which is great, except you don't have any planes left.
Yeah, you lost all your planes for that. That heal was way too late.
Now, you usually want to use your heal when you take a flak puff, right? And then all planes take some damage and then you heal.
Yeah, or you just use it during your first attack to counter the continuous damage.
Because you're flying through Smolensk and Austin.
The more planes you still have in it, the more potent the heal is, basically.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That would have saved enough for a second run on the Kita, which would have done some damage. I'm surprised you decided to leave the Kita alone now. And you're trying for team play. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and put some smoke out in front of the Holland.
Yeah, I don't blame him for leaving the kid. He's got nobody to help him with the kiddo.
Okay, that is true.
Right.
That was...
At least he's got help and he did do the team play thing.
Here's the problem what you just did though. Like, for one, the drop, you got one rocket, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But you got kind of lucky that the enemy destroyer is actually still visible here. Like, you laid the smoke for you the destroyer, which kind of killed the spotting from that destroyer. So I'm actually not sure why the enemy
do this. Don't do this. This is a waste of a smoke.
You're going to try to smoke the Yamato? Yep. Why is it a waste of smoke? Oh, and you put a fire on... By the way, pause for a sec. If you're going to put a fighter on a teammate, especially one that doesn't know what you're doing, if he's moving forward, try to be more forward. You want to have that Yamato... You see where that plane is right there? Where that fighter is? You kind of want that fighter to be over the Yamato when it comes in. Like that kind of distance.
The reason I'm saying no is $10 is this guy's going to shoot and just die anyways.
Yeah, and it'll just drive right straight through and not even notice.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Grunty, but I thought that was important to bring up.
Yeah, I was just like, yeah, I would have just spotted the destroyer with the rockets to make sure it dies, because I thought it would be dark after you put the smoke up.
The Holland... Oh, right, and the Holland would be dark
Holland.
after the guy died anyway.
Right, I mean, I agree with Grunty on that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so...
You kind of got lucky that the destroyer was still spotted and your team killed it anyway.
Yep. So look at the Yamato right now. He's continuing to move forward, right? So had you put your plane farther forward to the Yamato, that would give him a little bit better cover in front of him.
Wait, hold on. You're telling me I'm wrong? Why is he spotted in smoke? The exclamation point over... Iron Milo said I was wrong. He stayed in smoke. Doesn't matter if he stays in smoke. He shot and got spotted anyways.
Right there.
Right. Yeah, he's spotted.
So the way smoke mechanic works is you are detected if you shoot and something is within your smoke fire penalty range for 20 seconds. Now the Yamato is going to be reloading for longer than 20 seconds, so technically he will go dark for about 5 or so seconds. But that's plenty of time, the 20 seconds, for enemies to go and, like the Burgonya, to say, I'm going to go and drop on him. Or the Nebraska is lining up a drop. Or the Malta can show up and drop.
I don't hate the smoke. Like, the Yamato was able to heal a bit back up. But I think if you want to smoke up a battleship like that, you gotta communicate it.
Yep.
Because, like, we talked about this on Friday already. A battleship takes a while to slow down too. Like, if you don't tell it to him and then you place your smoke a little bit awkward, the battleship might not even have a chance to stop in time.
That's right. Driftin, thank you for your 12 months Twitch Prime sub. Appreciate that, my dude. Welcome back to the subland.
But I mean, with where the Yamato's position, just the island alone should be his protection.
Now he's got to go and smoke him again.
Right. Like, if this was a teammate, I would be all for it.
Does it make you a sub main? Now,
I wouldn't even, like, I would not have smoked him here again, because, like, what's he gonna do with the smoke? Like, He's not even in a position to shoot anybody, and he's most likely not spotted anyway because nothing is there to spot him.
The bigger problem, in my opinion, is the position of that smoke. You put the smoke on him and in front. You're encouraging him to move up. And he's low health. If anything, you want to encourage him to back up. So
Well,
I would
I dare say he's
approach
already
it the other
proven
way.
I dare say he's already proven he can't keep his gun silent to get to that another heal and just heal up.
No, either way. Hey, you're trying for team play. That's cool. And Drifton, check out the message, the personalized message in chat there for you. That's cool. You were thinking about the Malta.
Okay. So, you just got a double fire, which got immediately put out. Why are you not going back?
Because it's a small once that just smoked up. Even I saw that.
Okay, I didn't see the smoke.
Oh, okay.
Understandable.
All right, so now you're trying to smoke up your Missouri.
But
There's
again,
your
like
plane.
the smoke doesn't do anything. The Missouri is way too close. If he shoots, he's spotted. And the Missouri wants to shoot here. Like, he has no reason to not shoot.
I mean, I understand what he's doing, but I mean, I 100% agree with you guys. A battleship wants to shoot, right? Like, I know he's trying to protect him from the Malta. Drop your fighter in front of him,
He did.
right? Your smoke should be for like your cruisers or your DD that just got in trouble. Like what you did with the Holland was perfect.
I don't like this turn back to the Malta here. Go back, kill the Kitakaze. Look how low he is.
You can't even pen the Malta midships with these bombs. So yeah, I don't know why we didn't just drop on the Bourgogne that you pen everywhere because 32mm armor.
That'd be a better choice
Because
too.
it's a carrier, guys. It's a carrier.
Replacing the faucet. Eesh. Good luck with that. Okay. And hey, it's nice that you're trying for the team play. It's just when you're in a division, you're better able to coordinate said team play. That's all. Like I think support carriers. It'd be interesting to see support carriers in ranked. We did that a little bit last season with Tier 8 with Yorktown.
I mean, if there was anything German with secondaries, I'd be all for the smoke. Because I believe most German carriers are going to recognize, oh my god, I just got smoke and these things are going off. Let me abuse this. Everyone else is going to be like, well, I need to get damaged too.
Shin?
Fun
Hello?
fact, Essex is currently on an A, the number 2 CV on damage output, tier 10.
Interesting. And you say that, and let's take a look at his damage. 30,000.
We appreciate you keeping those numbers lower.
Long time no see. It hasn't been that long.
Also,
How
you
you
don't
doing,
even need to kill them. That Malta is like bad. Like bad. He's flying into your fighters like all the time. Like, you actually want to keep him alive so you can kill more of his planes.
There's the big brain. It's been a month? Oh.
There's the bigger brain. You should just smoke them up.
Like, this Malta is a non-issue, more or less. Like,
Get off work midnight, if not slightly after, so by the time you get on, everyone's asleep, so there are no divs for you. Gotcha. You can always post and looking for division. You know? Long walks on the beach, stuff like that.
Here's another thing you could do, which I'm usually 100% against. You can hit enter and start typing in chat.
Coordination, yep. Or we even talked about before, you can use quick commands like set a smoke screen. You know, you can click on somebody and then set a smoke screen, and then they get an idea. Oh, he's coming to smoke me. Like,
I like the positioning of your CV here of the hull in general.
Yes.
I don't like how close it is to the island though. Because if anything goes south, you're stuck there. You're not gonna get out anymore.
you're forced to back off, so he should be pointing directly north.
Should be pointing directly north or have a little bit of gap that his CV can start moving again. Right. I don't think anything is gonna go south here again, but it's just good practice.
Could the crosshair, the bomb be in the middle of the enemy ship or behind like he just did? Don't worry about the crosshairs, Imeos. This is a replay bug. The crosshairs never look exactly as they are when they drop.
In replays, the crosshair is usually, as you see, it's behind. That's just a replay bug. I'm pretty sure he's not aiming behind.
Right. So you should be focusing more on just like aircraft usage, positioning. You could think about how he's lining up his attack runs and stuff. That's all good. That's all good stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, look! You said something in chat.
You lost a perfectly healthy plane on the recall here to hidden menace, by the way. And you didn't even need to recall that. You had 3 planes left and a heal. That would have been enough to get another attack off.
You could have turned and dropped again.
Did you drop slightly behind?
Interesting. Because generally you want to drop a little in front of wherever they're heading. With the champagne.
Maybe a little bit behind with the rockets to make sure you don't shatter anything on the belt when you're attacking a battleship. Why did you do this turn here for the Castilla, not attack it directly? Why you come from the side?
Well, it's actually kind of working because look, the Castilla's turning.
I mean, if you look at how those bombs drop, I don't blame an angled attack.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, yes, but you can attack slightly angled, but he lost a plane for that.
So what? They magically reappear?
No, he lost the plane before the attack. So he attacked with one less plane because of that loop he did. Let's see if that is a replay bug. Yeah, it is.
Nice, you probably burn him out. Nope.
That was a perfect example for the replay bug. You see how big the reticle actually was on the screen and how tight the rockets actually were on the machine gun? That's the replay bug.
Yep. Yeah, that's what we're trying to say, Cosmic, so people understand.
It felt like a little bit too much maneuvering during the actual attack run. I think it could have been even tighter.
So you pre-dropped.
I don't know why you waited this long for a pre-drop.
I also don't know why you're pre-dropping in general at this point in the game. Like you need to do damage. You need to just get things off the board.
Like, they are not that clumped up that you need the pre-drops. Like, you just...
I mean, the only ship he's got to really worry about is Thunderer and Smolensk. And the Smolensk is next to the Nebraska you should be going for anyways.
Like, if you look at it, like, you just wasted a minute for 2 pre-drops and the actual drop.
And you're waiting for some opportunity now to drop maybe the Nebraska, it looks like? Okay, you're going to do this. You're going to go over the island... And then you're gonna drop... Okay. This is where Torpedo Bomber comes in really handy, by the way. That skill, which you don't have.
I don't understand why you just didn't attack it from the right side.
I would have just done that too.
Perfect broadside drop, not much AA in the way except for the... Thunderer.
Well, I mean, as we pointed out in other people's replay, this is the time where all your pre-drops come into play to where you send in the full squadron to get rid of something.
Yeah, you pre-drop early to save your planes for this stuff.
If you attack from the south, the Smolensk is actually behind, so you're not even flying over it.
Yeah, your planes coming out will fly over it. Rip your Puerto Rico. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. The Puerto Rico detonated the Smolensk. That's why you always take detonation flags.
Oof.
Attacking from the west will make him lose both planes.
I wouldn't have clicked the attack there. I would have went after the Thunder. I would have just kept the attack, let it do its thing, and then turned back and actually attacked the Thunderer.
Even if you lose a few planes, who cares? They're tacticals.
Well, I mean, he wouldn't have lost
Wouldn't have lost
anything
anything there. Like,
because the Austin just got yeeted.
Right, but he wasn't
again,
expecting
like,
that.
what?
Right, but what I'm saying is just keep the, just because he didn't click attack until after the Austin got yeeted. Right.
Again, like
just-
here, you had one target here at the end left. Like you didn't make it anyway. But like, why pre-drop when you're attacking a single target?
No need to pre-drop there, I agree. Now, going back to what you said, Puddin', I don't know about you, but I don't exactly have the greatest of reaction time, and it's easy for us when we're watching a replay to not be putting ourselves in the position of the player. I wouldn't be surprised if Cosmic was saying to himself, I'm going to drop on this guy, and he's set to do it, and even though the ship dies, he's already clicked the mouse button to initiate the drop. I've done that before. But he didn't
I
have
just
to
heard a
drop
backseat
again.
drive.
He didn't have to go through and click the extra drive and do that. So there's that. Hey Shice, thank you for the 100 bits, dude. Good to see you on this Sunday.
What up?
I mean, I get it. It's just like
Mhm.
it looked like maybe he had enough time, but I know what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
you're going in on the attack, and next thing you know, the guy got deleted, and you're still in the mindset of okay, click, and it's like, oh god darn it, if I just didn't click.
Right. Right. Exactly. Let's take a look at your battle performance. 73,500 damage. 550,000 credits. Looks like you weren't using XP flags, which is fine, whatever. You're using free XP stuff. Good stuff there. 19 rocket hits, 7 fires, 1 kill, 24 bomb hits, only 4 torpedo hits.
Yeah,
I want to highlight that for a second.
Is
Only 4.
rough.
Only 4.
Well, you're gonna sit there and go only 4, but out of that 4, it got him the 1 kill on the shimmy.
I mean, sure, but like
A
considering
lot
you
of it-
dropped 4 on a single drop.
Okay, but if you remember, he was doing a lot of drops on DDs too, like the Kitakaze. He did a drop. He did several drops, at least 2 that I can recall. One while he was in smoke, and one while he was beaching.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Like personally, I ignore the destroyers in that line. I completely like unless I have to, I ignore them. I think the Essex is the perfect ship to farm the damage.
I disagree a lot with that. Your dive bombers or your tactical bombers are great for damaging destroyers. Why not take advantage of that? It's such an easy drop because
are
it's a
they
circular
though?
reticle.
Like,
Oh yeah, absolutely they are.
He had that one drop that did 5,000 damage. And like if that was a midway and you could do a second drop or a third drop on the destroyer, that's great. But you do like 5,000 and that's it for 2 minutes before you get it ready again.
I mean, Kazik, if you don't care about your torpedo planes, then what you should use them for is to keep the DD spotted while people shoot. And if nobody's shooting to such a DD that you're spotting, just drop on a cruiser or battleship and then bring your bombers to deal with the destroyer.
Right.
So you focus on the tacticals. Yeah, I think the torpedo bombers are by far and beyond the best planes on the Essex. It sounds weird because you think it's all about the tacticals, but it's really not.
Well,
The tacticals
that's
are
the
all
gimmick.
about supporting. It's all about the support for the team. That's why they have the smoke and the torp bombers down.
Yeah, no, that's the gimmick. That's the gimmick. And so, you know, you can learn to play the gimmick, but just don't play around the gimmick or only the gimmick, right? And I mean, that's the same thing as the Nebraska has, you know, bombers that can launch. So how many times do you see a Nebraska sitting behind an island playing carrier the whole game? That's somebody who's only playing the gimmick. Learn to play with the gimmick, not just the gimmick. And that's what we're talking about here. Use the torp bombers and kind of like last time, use the torps, Luke, and use that to your advantage. I think there's a lot of potential here that you kind of missed out on. But let's take a look. 12 torpedo bombers lost. You probably would have lost a few less. You did a nice job with pre-dropping, so that helped to negate or minimize this number here. It allowed you to keep your torp bombers for the end when you didn't use them much anyway. But, you know. Beyond that, though, I mean, you did go for team play, and that was good. Hey, C-Red. That was good to see you going for team play. You got some good spotting damage. You put down smokes. You killed planes. So that's all nifty. You were up against a carrier, as Grunty so eloquently put it earlier, who really didn't know what they were doing, and so you were able to take advantage of that and shoot down a lot of their planes. That's cool. That's nice. That's good. It's XP for you, and it keeps your teammates alive. I think the big thing is towards the middle of the game, when it switches from... It should in your mind make a switch from team play to damage, right? At this point in the game, you've done everything you can, and especially when you went into your team chat and said, we're out of smoke. Okay, cool. When that happens, now it's time for you to transition to damage. How am I going to get as much damage? How am I going to get ships off the board? And that's, I think, the part we never really saw you make that transition to that. You continue doing team play instead.
I mean, the one thing I'll say with when he was spotted the Malta and went in with his bombers, I think it was the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It was bombers first and then rockets, but the rockets didn't even hit because it died right away.
What I would have done, because you did have your bombers up, keep the carrier spotted, because people are going to shoot it. Like, you know, let them shoot it, let them get it low. So you can come in with your bombers and potentially get the kill with the bombers in case somebody shells, ricochet, bounce, or just don't do the damage. Right? Like, let them get that carrier to, like, you know, under 10K. And then go in.
Right, instead of going in right away.
Just keep them spotted for your team to deal with.
I would have just went for the Bourgogne here. Like, the Bourgogne was still alive when he had the bombers, and it's the perfect target to go for because the bombs just go through.
And now we're talking about stuff when we have a replay render that could show us that from the minimap perspective, so everybody can see what we were talking about.
Also, just coming back, like, the Torps have 6,400 alpha, and you drop 4 of them with 1 drop. So, like, that's 25,000 potential damage with a single drop. And you can drop up to 4 times per squadron. Like, these and unless the midway that spread out wide and take forever to aim in, these are rather tight. Like, torpedo power output wise, you can compare the Essex to the Hakirio. Just to put it into perspective, why the Torps are so good and why you should use them more.
Okay, well, there you go, Cosmic. Let's go with the replay render. Let's get that up and running. This is the one. Okay. Just making sure I had the right one set. You have a Hakuryu and you're not so good at it? No worries.
Well,
Hakuryu's a
one
pain
of
in the butt
the
to play.
advantages on the Essex is the planes are actually not as fragile as they are on the Hakuryu.
Yeah, he recalled at the start. He said that was an accident. It happens.
Which, ironically, was a happy accident.
It was a happy accident because it allowed you to go and find Nikita and drop and hit him 4 times.
Oh. Why was the Sherman still spot out? Because he was shooting.
Yeah, he was doing the Sherman thing, opening up with his guns. Yes, very heavy lemming at A. And as a carrier player, you have 2 choices. You either support the lemming, or you try to deal with the other side. And he supported the lemming.
I like supporting the lemming. I think it's the better play to help the strong side here, because once the side is clear, everybody on this side can help the weak side.
Right, and with
Whereas
the support
if you try
carrier,
to help the weak side, they will all still be chasing the Bourgogne and the Malta, and it will take forever possibly to kill them. And you alone are probably not enough to help the weak side. So.
All right, so we need a title for the replay as the replay render runs through.
See, I would disagree with Grunty. As soon as Holland was dead, I would be supporting the weak side, because that's where all your damage is going to come from.
I mean, you could have gone for that Montana over there and tried to farm the damage on that. But at the same time, you can just farm it on the Bourgogne.
I mean, even if you just bring your torp planes over, you know, to get your damage. And then
You
use
could,
your...
but then it takes longer for all the ships on the strong side to actually kill the Burgon and come over to help as well.
Mm-hmm. And as Shin mentions, yeah, it's going to take you longer to get to wherever you're going.
And yeah, let's not forget, like he is on the left side with his hull, so flight times matter.
Mm-hmm. Retreating ships have Monty handled. Fair enough.
Well, I mean, of course, I mean, the Monty would have just died sooner, and he would have got some of the damage. Like, I understand not everybody's worried about PR.
Pause a moment here. Like, these pre-drops here, I really didn't understand. Like, you could have just gone for the Thunderer if you wanted. You can even fly around and attack it from the seaside multiple times if you're that worried about the Smolensk AA.
Mm-hmm.
Or you just drop, like, from the southeast into the broadside of the Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, this is the time where you can actually afford to lose planes.
Right, at the end game. Exactly. Like I said, you switch from team play to damage.
Well, I mean, I think this comes from his mentality of supporting the lemming side, right? And not worrying about the weak side. Because he's still sending, he's pretty much, his planes are just coming straight out, and he's just, wherever the planes come out of, that's where he's going to.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and if you notice with where he was parked, like that's what he just kept doing.
Right.
Like, I don't disagree that you should use your support planes to, help the strong side, but your bread and butter for damage, which is going to be experience, is from your torp planes. I would have used them on the weak side against, you had two battleships that were fairly isolated from each other, so there was no overlapping AA. Just because three ships can handle the one pushing it, well, the counter argument, as soon as that ship dies, guess what? Those guys get to turn around and now become another pushing side, right?
I guess I gotta say though, frankly, I'm with Grunty on this one. If you're committing yourself to the A side out to the west, then focus down the Burgon, because that's also a battleship that's isolated. Yes, there's a carrier nearby, but if that carrier is not supporting his Burgon, by all means, take him down. The sooner you get him down, the sooner your teammates on that side can turn towards whatever they need to.
I mean, I think the other thing is I probably would have parked where not the exact spot where the Stalingrad is, but that island by the Stalingrad. So
H5, yeah, I should mention that too in the chat.
And I do that just because you're going to have to deal with the guys coming out of sea, going up to F Island, a little bit longer of a flight time to where I think that other island is just, it's an equal distance sort of thing instead of, I need to focus on these guys because my plane's faster.
The F3 island is better because the orientation of your ship is better.
Shin, you can check on Discord to see his build. I'm not going to put it up here because we've already spent about an hour on this replay, a good amount of that talking about commander build.
If you want to park on H5 island, you have to turn your ship around so it actually faces to the right.
Okay, that's a good point. If you
park there facing left, you have to always do the turn after the launch.
Mm-hmm. Nice with 100 bits again. Thank you, dude. Okay, well, I have team versus damage as a title.
Yeah.
I don't know what else there is to put for the stuff, and I think we've kind of hammered this one out. And so, Cosmic, hopefully, you got some good stuff to think about, and appreciate you subbing and sending in the replay, dude. A lot of good stuff there. All right, so what I'm going to do